So we're very, very honoured today to be joined by Georgina Oladapo, now known as Georgina Day, and she's going to be talking to us about her history, her story, what's inspired her as an athlete, barriers, challenges, and then what she can pass on in terms of her knowledge, experience to you guys. So it'd be really nice if you could introduce yourselves today. So we've got Pia, our centre manager.
Hi, my name is Pia. So like Anna said, I'm the centre manager and I develop the curriculum and teach and all sorts of things. And today I'm just here as a bit of a technical assistance. Okay.
And Andy we have as well.
Hi, I'm Andrew. I look after the IT for London Stadium Learning and other stuff.
Magic. We've got Gilbert there.
Hi, my name's Gilbert. I have dyslexia and I'm from Ellen Primary School.
Fantastic, great for you to join us today. And Jaden?
I'm Jaden. I'm a mentor for London Stadium Learning and I'm just here for any assistance.
And Taslim?
Yeah, hi, my name's Taslim Rabbani. I work for also London Stadium of Learning and I'm one of the learning mentors. So I'm just here to encourage the young people, support them. Yeah.
And last but not least, we have Adam, is that your name? And Max.
Yep, Adam.
I'm going to school Cheltenham Academy and I'm nearly 11 years old and I'm in year 5.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you very much. So I'm going to hand over now to Georgina, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her story, please. So we're going to say goodbye to everyone just for now, so you can listen in, but we're going to turn your screens off and your audio off. But please use the chat button at the bottom to send in your questions.
Okay, hi, my name is Georgina Oladapo. Everyone calls me George. I'm just going to tell you my journey from starting at secondary school right up to when I went to the Olympic Games in Atlanta. I've always loved sport, especially athletics. So when I was in secondary school, I had a brilliant PE teacher who encouraged me to try every sport going. So I was in the basketball team, the netball team, the hockey team, rounders team. I was in every team going, including the athletics team. I loved every sport, so I put my best into everything I did. But it turned out that I was best at athletics, so that's why I chose to try and have a career in. When I was about 14, 15, my PE teacher took me to a competition called the London Youth Games. Even though I wasn't really a youth, she thought I was good enough to compete at that level. She entered me into long jump. Now, I didn't win, I came second, but luckily for me, there were some scouts there who were looking for new athletes, and a coach there liked what he saw, thought I had potential, and he took both me and the girl who won into his squad. Now for me, this was all new because I'd just really done athletics as a hobby up to that point, and it was starting to get a bit more serious, so I had to sort of try and take it a bit more seriously, and I'm a bit of a joker, so it was quite hard for me. But and I started training probably about 3 times a week at first, and then entering into competitions, really enjoying it. Joined one of the best squads in South East London sprinters, so I started doing a lot more sprinting as well. Being a long jumper goes hand in hand with being a sprinter as well, because you need to have quite good basic speed in order to take off, and a bit like a plane, if you haven't got speed on the approach, when you take off it won't go anywhere, so you have to have the same sort of level of speed, so when you hit that board, take off, you sort of fly through the air and go as far as possible. Now after a few sessions with my coach, he entered me to a local competition. I was 14 at the time and I did really well. I was the first 14-year-old in this country to jump over 6 meters. I jumped 6 meters and 7. So of course, when I did it, everyone was shocked, and we had to have about 3,000 officials come to look at it to verify it. And it was then I thought, you know what, I'm not bad at this. I'm pretty good, you know, so I'm going to keep trying harder and harder to make myself as good as I can be. And the next couple of years, I did keep improving. I started to get some attention in the press, You know, people started to look at me as a fierce competitor. And it all sort of culminated in the Olympic trials when I was 17. I entered the trials hoping to go to Los Angeles Olympics as a long jumper. I was competing against my sister, so that was quite difficult because, you know, even though we loved each other, when I get on that track, there's no friends, you know, I'm there to beat you. So it was quite, you know, it was quite hard for the family, you know, quite hard for us. But, you know, if you're a sports person, you have to have that kind of killer instinct, you know, even if you're competing against your family. Now, the qualifying distance was 6 meters and 50. I'd never done that in my life before, but I just felt really great that day. And when I woke up that morning, I said to my sister, I think I'm going to beat you today. You know, we sort of laugh about it now, but you know, at the time, she was like, no, you're not. No, I'm going to beat you today. So anyway, competition starts. I have my first jump, it's okay. My second jump, I jumped 6 meters 52, which is the Olympic qualifying. So that means I'll be going to Olympics. I was 17 at the time, so it was a massive achievement. I felt great, you know, things going well. I've done fastest time I've run the 100 meters, 11.6, and now I've jumped 6:52, so everything's looking great. And 2 jumps later, I landed in the pit. It was quite far, and all people described it as I was hearing, like, they thought they heard bones break, and I thought I'd broken my leg because I landed, and like the pain, I can't even describe it to you, and the crack in the bones, I really thought I'd done myself some massive damage. So sadly, I couldn't compete any further. And at the time, now if you get injured in competition, you get medical attention straight away. But back in 1984, there wasn't that sort of structure in place. So I did the injury on the Saturday. It wasn't until the Monday that I was able to get myself to hospital and get seen by a surgeon who took one look at my leg and he said, we've got to operate straight away. You know, it was that serious. So I remember saying to him before I went into surgery, can you please try and save my leg? You know, this is what I want to do the best you can. And he said he'd try, but it wasn't looking that hopeful. When I woke up from the surgery, I had plaster from my thigh down to my ankle. And I was really frightened, thinking, you know, I don't know what's happened, what's he found. And it was unfortunate for me that what I'd done was worse than breaking my leg. I literally ruptured every ligament and cartilage in my knee that completely broke apart. So they tried to sew them back together. Wasn't sure how successful it was going to be. It was going to be a long, long way back, rehab-wise. So, you know, basically my Olympic dream ended right there, you know. The next few months were really difficult because once you're sort of off the radar in athletics, there was no pastoral care, no one checked up on you, there was no medical help, you're kind of left on your own. So I had to rely on my family to get me through the physio, through the rehab, you know, and hopefully, you know, get back walking. It took about 6 months for me to get back to walking properly, and then I started learning how to jog again. And it was clear that I would never be able to long jump again. So it was a big blow to me because that was what I wanted to do. So I had to think, what am I going to do now? I decided I was going to try and do sprinting again because I wasn't a bad sprinter. So I started doing my rehab, started training again, started running again. And I had quite a successful year in 1985. You know, I did a personal best in 200, I did personal best in 100, but by that time I realised, you know, psychologically, my mind wasn't in it. I really wanted to long jump, and if I couldn't do that, I decided to stop running altogether. So I did. I retired at the age of 18, and that was it. Now, the next few years, I had a family. I had 2 children, a boy and a girl. And then after I had my daughter, I thought, you know, I want to start running again to get fit, you know. So I decided to go down to the track. I started jogging, then I started running, then I started sprinting. And I thought, I'm not too bad. You know, I might be able to actually do this again. I might actually be able to realise my dream of going to Olympics. So what I started doing, I started training again. I trained with squads that were down there. I didn't really join a squad. This was like 10 years from when I stopped training to when I started again. So it's a very long break. It's really hard to come back after such a long break. But, you know, I was determined. I thought, can I do 100 meters again? Probably not quick enough. Can I do 200? Probably not, still not quick enough. So I thought, I'm going to try do the 400 meters. Now, anyone who's done 400 meters knows it's an extremely difficult race. It's like a quarter of a mile of sprinting or controlled sprinting. But, you know, I had a lot of endurance. My mind's in the right place. I worked hard. I was working full time as well as training in my spare time. So I trained and trained and trained. I managed to get in with Ron Rodden, who trained Linford Christie. So I started training with that squad as well. So I had a good group of athletes around me. And then I took the plunge, entered my first competition. So there you go. My first competition, it was a disaster. Even though I won, I ran it as if I was running a 200-meter race. So by the time I got to 200 meters, I had very little oxygen left in my legs. So I was kind of treading water at that point. By the time I got to 300 meters, oh my God, it was so bad. I could hardly walk. It was like leaden wooden legs trying to get to the finish. But amazingly, I got there first. So, I'm not saying the athletes were bad. I just managed to blag it somehow and get to the line first. That taught me a huge lesson. I thought, I've got a lot to learn about this event if I'm going to get anywhere in this event. So I carried on training, getting better, getting my mind in the right place, learning the event. It's quite hard once you've been a 100-meter sprinter, 200-meter sprinter, to transition to 400 meters, especially after having such a long break from the sport. But luckily, I managed it, and in 1995, at the World Championship trials, I did well enough to get into the World Championship squad, and that was in Gothenburg in 1995. These competitions, they are just amazing. I mean, you go there, there's this village, you meet athletes from all over the world. And in this particular championships, as you approach the track, there was like a row of brand new Mercedes cars. So everyone who won the event got a customized Mercedes. And I thought, wow, you know, that is fantastic. So that was another added incentive because I love cars. But anyway, I ran really well. I was just doing a relay, and I ran 50.6 leg, which is my fastest relay leg. And in the final, we finished 5th. So that was great. You know, for my first year in a new event, I was really pleased with that. So now I've started looking towards the Olympics. I actually thought to myself, you know, I might be able to do this. I've managed World Championships. I know it's a big ask, but I might be able to do this. I mean, these days, athletes are paid to be athletes, but at that time, I had children. I was working full time as legal secretary. So I'd go to work 9 to 5. I'd come home. I'd have to maybe be out with my children, go training for 2 hours, come back. So it was a really pretty hard life. You had to be pretty determined if you wanted to make it in sport as a young mother. Well, young, I was 28. But so it was also quite hard for my children, because sometimes at the weekend I have to take them with me and they just have to sit around the track, you know. So I was really thankful to them for like being so patient with me as well. But anyway, let's go to the Olympic Games. The Olympic trials, they came along, and I was carrying a slight injury, so I was thinking, I hope I'll be able to do this. And how it works in the trials is you have the heats the night before, and if you make it, get to the final. Now the heats is only the winner is guaranteed a place in the final. The winner and one fastest loser, so it's quite a lot of pressure. You have to run it really as if it's the final, just to make sure we got through. I was in the first heat and I won my heat, luckily. So I was through to the final. Finals day comes. Obviously, this is like big time, you know, this is the Olympics, this is for your place in the games. And there were some pretty seasoned 400-meter runners there. I was still quite a novice, really. This is my second year doing the event. But I lined up, you know, there was Phyllis Smith, Donna Fraser, you know, some Helen Mars, some really good athletes there. And I started off pretty badly. You know, I was really behind at 200 meters. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I've got to really start stepping on it now. I'm not going to make it. And I don't know where it came from, but I found another gear and I found myself going past people. And it was brilliant because I could sort of hear myself and sort of see myself in my mind going past all these people. And I got into 4th place and I was in 3rd place and I was into 2nd place. I thought, oh my God, there's only Phyllis ahead of me. Can I catch her? I couldn't. But anyway, I came 2nd and that was enough to get me a place on the Olympic team. I hadn't actually done the Olympic qualifying time, so I could only go for the relay unless I wanted to try and chase the time. I decided not to because I was carrying a slight hamstring injury at the time and I still had my knee problems from all those years before. So I decided to just go for the relay. I mean, it was a fantastic moment for me. It was from 1984 to going to Olympics in 1996 is what I'd always wanted to do with my life. So I'd achieved the life goal of going to be in Atlanta, which was also a fantastic place. And you know, it was just wonderful. Now, when we went out there to the Olympic Games, first of all, we go to holding camp. That was in Florida. I've never been in a place that's so hot and humid. It was unbelievable heat. So you had to kind of get acclimatized to that. You had about a week to get acclimatized to that before you flew to Atlanta into the Olympic Village. That in itself an experience. It was huge. It was a huge place. They had all these trains that take you all around the village. You know, you didn't have to walk anywhere. There was a massive place where you get food. It was about the size of 10 football pitches. Food from all over the world. They had a pool there. They had a cinema there. It was like a little. It was like a little mini village. We had stars come to see us, like Arnold Schwarzenegger came there, you know, and you had all sorts of celebrities pop into the village to say hi. And for someone who hasn't experienced that, it can be quite distracting. You know, you're there for an event, but you've got all this stuff going around you, nothing prepares you for it. And, you know, it's very easy to sort of forget the training you've got to do and the preparation that you have to put in place. Even training at the actual track in Atlanta was difficult because it was just so crowded. You've got athletes from over the world trying to train at the same time, so it was really difficult. You have to time your training properly, you know, make sure you've got space to do it, etc. Well, anyway, the 4x4s and last events in the calendar, so you're in the village for about a week before you even sort of have to do anything. On our way to the track, our coach got lost, so we nearly missed the event. It was a disaster. The coach drives asking us if we knew the way to the track. No, we're not from here. It was a bit of a nightmare, but we made it. Unfortunately, we didn't get through to the final. It wasn't my best race. As I said, I was carrying a bit of an injury. For me, the whole occasion was just fantastic, despite not doing as well as I wanted to, or as a team how we wanted to. And you know, it's just something I'm really proud of and something I'm proud to tell my children about. I would say that following that I've decided to retire because I've had continuing problems. I've had 7 surgeries now on my leg because it's just not right and it won't ever be right. But I've got to say that following all that, it would be nice, I think, if they brought athletes, there was some kind of pathway to bring athletes back into the sport, because once you leave, you've left and they don't really contact you again. And we have a lot to offer. You know, we've had all that experience, and I think there should be some kind of pathway for ex-athletes to get back into the sport, or to help young people, or to encourage young people, just give advice. So, you know, that's where I'd like it to be if it was me making decisions. And that's my story. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you. Amazing story, so inspiring, and so we could really imagine your experiences. That's fantastic. And I think your point at the end is totally right, and we're really hoping that this project will begin to do that and capture the legacy and then pass that on. And I think there's not just the legacy, as you're saying, of your story and that sort of thing. It's also some of the training techniques, those other experiences. I think it was another athlete, I think it was Donna, who said to us that, Donna Fraser, who said that she just wasn't prepared mentally, and she needed to get that mental preparation to go to some of these big events, because yeah, she saw the likes of Linford Christie, and all of a sudden she wanted to watch him and forgot all about her own activities. So we've got some great questions that have come up. The first one is, do you do any other sports? Have you been doing any other sports?
Yeah, I do cricket now as well. I love cricket. It's not as labour intensive as athletics. You stand there and hit the ball and do a little bit of running, so I do enjoy that. As I say, a couple of my children are quite good sports people. One of my sons is a footballer, he's semi-pro, and I do help footballers with their fitness training, so I've been doing that in my spare time. And my other son, he's an American footballer. I say he's meant to be in America now for D1 college trials, so I also help train him. Sometimes I'm just the person holding the bag and he just runs into me. I'm like, oh. But yeah, so yeah, I do try and keep myself as active as I can. Yeah.
So following on from that, we did get a question about football. So Adam actually asked, which football team do you support?
I don't actually support one team. I just like watching football. But when my son was playing for Preston North End, I did support them. But no, I'm not really an Arsenal. Like one of my sons is Chelsea, and my husband's Chelsea. My son's Arsenal. My other one's Tottenham. You know, so we have the whole thing here. You know, like yesterday there was Chelsea West Ham. It was just blew up in here because they lost. Yeah, so I don't.
And obviously, being in the London Stadium, West Ham won, which was good for us.
Yeah.
We won't accept that we're West Ham fans when they're losing, but when they win.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, Adam also wanted to know, what's the fastest speed you have clocked whilst running?
Well, in the 60 meters, I've done 7.4. The 100 meters, and these are when I was like 17, 16. 100 meters is 11.6 when I was 17. Did 23.4 when I was 18. 400, 52.4, and 50.6 as a relay leg, and 6:52 as long jumper. So I've done quite a lot of events.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think what's fascinating is that you had your injury, and obviously it was a really significant, you know, life-changing injury, I think, for most of us. And so it kind of makes me want to ask how much your achievements was based on physical ability and how much was mental, because I think a lot of us would have said, oh, okay, you know, I'm not quite the physique that I had. Haven't quite got those the strengths in my legs anymore, but you seem to get over that, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, the injury was pretty severe. It was really as bad as it gets, to be honest with you. And mentally, it took a long time to recover from it, because really there was no help from anybody. You're on your own, and to sort of cope with that on your own is quite difficult. I was only 17, so it was really like everything that ended for me. It was very, very difficult. And I think that's why I needed that time. I know it was 10 years, and 10 years is a very long time, but it took that amount of time to get my head right, thinking, you know, I miss it, but I can still do it. And also to recover further from this. I've had a lot of ongoing problems with this injury. I've got plates and pins and everything in here, and I've had to have my leg rebroken and reset, you know, to try and get it right. So, you know, a lot of it was mental, but obviously a lot of it is physical. I mean, I'd had 2 children at the time when I decided to come back, so I wasn't in the same shape as I was before, but, you know, it was enough. A lot of it was definitely mental. Right. I think when you've been an athlete of some note, you do have that physical ability in you, and you can sort of revive it, and I think that's what I managed to do.
So it's a whole body thing then, isn't it? It's not just a leg, it's your capability with your body and your mind as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So another question from Taslim is, what foods do you think make you feel vibrant and energetic? What advice would you give on kind of diets and that sort of thing?
Well, I'm vegetarian and I've been vegan, and I have to say, and I've never smoked or drank in my life. I have to say, for me, not eating meat has made me feel a lot better. I know it's not the same for everyone. And when I was an athlete, I did eat quite a lot of meat. Actually, I ate pretty badly, if I'm honest, because my mum, she used to make the best food and I'd eat it all. But as I'm older, I'm in my 50s now, I find that in order to keep myself in any sort of good shape, I have to really watch what I'm eating. So I don't eat a lot. I have a lot of shakes. I've got NutriBullet, which most people got in the house, make my own shakes up. I make my own soups. I don't eat meat. I do eat fish. But I can't really speak for other people. That's just what works for me. I mean, like, for instance, my sons, they eat lots of meat because they feel they need it to get the muscle bulk they need and stuff. But yeah, I think the thing that helps most is not smoking, not drinking too much, drink lots of water, eat the foods that you like, and I think you should be fine. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. So looking back over your very long career of training and competing, I mean, that's amazing. We're looking at nearly 40 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or more when you started.
Yeah.
Are there differences that really come to mind for you in terms of diet and people's awareness of health and well-being? I mean, you've talked about the fact that you didn't get any help.
Yeah.
Do you think things have changed a lot over the last sort of 30, 40 years?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, like I said, athletics is now a career choice. You can do it as a job. When I was doing it, it was a hobby. We sort of did it in our spare time after work. You know, I had to fit it in when I could. There was very little financial help. You could apply for a grant, you know, sports aid grant, if you're lucky enough to get that. Sponsorship, if you could get that. I was lucky enough to get a sponsor for kit, etc. But otherwise, we had to like fend for ourselves. That's a massive difference, you know. And when I see athletes now and they're sort of complain a bit about this and that, and I'm thinking, gosh, you don't really know what it's like for us. We had it really tough, and I think that goes to drive, because that was our way of seeing the world, you know, of going places. You know, that was our way out. I talked about my sister. You know, we saw so much of the world which we would never have seen had it not been for sport. We made so many brilliant friends. I mean, we've got huge friendship groups that even now we still get together, and it's a great community. You know, so yeah, that is a huge difference, not just in financial help, but you get dietitians, you know, you get people to help with mental health. There was none of that for us. So yeah, athletes today are very lucky compared to what we had.
Well, we wouldn't have met you if it wasn't for Sharon Andrews, who put us in touch. Bless her. And we were having the thrower, and we were having a fantastic chat with her about sort of body image and the pressure on women in particular to look a certain way. I mean, I've seen some of your pictures, and you were very glamorous when you did. I love some of the hair, and but it's a bit like Flo, isn't it, who had the long fingernails on the start line, and I think that's a given now, isn't it, because they scroll across but before people are getting ready to go. And so I just wondered, you know, if there's anything that you could bring up around that, really. That's a pressure.
For myself, I didn't actually start wearing makeup till I was about 28, 29 years old. For me, competing was about competing. I didn't care how I looked. You know, I just wanted to get out there, do what I had to do. You know, I didn't have time to be putting makeup on, and as you can see my pictures, get my hair done. So it was kind of like, it was the easiest route. You know, put my hair in plaits, don't have to think about it. Nothing on my face, don't really care because I'm going to sweat anyway. You know, I actually quite like being quite muscular. You know, for me, it's a better look. It's a good look for me, and I even now I try and look after myself. But I have to say, there were a lot of girls in my secondary school who used to be unkind to me, bully me, saying, oh, you're always sweating, oh, you've got lots of muscles, oh, you better not beat me and sort of stay, sort of that sort of thing. But I mean, body image, especially with Instagram and Facebook, I think it is putting a lot of girls under pressure. I have a daughter, she's 27 now, and I'm glad to say she's not sort of bought into that. She's a bit like me, being natural as you can. Don't worry about what anyone else thinks of you. And it'd be great if we could have more of that in schools, because a lot of girls that I see going to school, they all look the same. They walk down the road, they all look the same, all got the same hair, the same makeup, the same eyebrows. And I think, it was way more interesting when we were young, because we all looked so different and we didn't really care about it. But then we didn't have social media,
Yeah, true. So what about moving on to kit? So not necessarily about the kind of glamour, but sort of fabrics and, the technology of kit. We've got these amazing trainers, haven't we, now that marathon runners train in, and they've become a bit contentious in terms of the aid that they give. I just wondered about kit going, back over the years.
Yeah, when I started, there's very few tartan tracks. It was all cinder or dirt tracks. So I remember my first race, I couldn't afford spikes, so I ran in my trainers that I used to wear to school. I didn't have my first pair of spikes for a couple of years, and they were bought for me by my coach. My mum couldn't afford it. So, there was a lot of people look at me on the start line and, oh, she's only got trainers on, she's no good. They soon learned that was not the case. I could do as well as you, my trainers, as you could in your spikes. So yeah, it's a big difference. I mean, the kit that we had the crop tops. You could choose. You could have a leotard, crop tops, lycra. It was all, it's not too different in the kit we wear, but the footwear is a lot different now. There's a lot more choice, and a lot of it stems from affordability. If you can afford the best, you can get the best, and there's a lot of people that can't. Shoes are very, very expensive. They're expensive. When I was running, I would dread to fit what they cost now. I have no idea, but I should imagine for a lot of people it's not very affordable. And I think you've got things like super technology. It should be available for everyone. If you've got a level playing field, everyone can have the same shoes, then that's fair. But if you've got some that can afford the best and those that not compete on the same level, then I think that's a bit unfair. Yeah.
So you said that you went to lots of countries, which sounds absolutely amazing. So just interested in kind of the politics and how you might have been seen by, I'll start off with the politics of going to those countries and how you might have felt that you were treated differently, or how your experiences of various competitions sort of in different countries.
I've got to say I didn't really find anything too political when I went abroad. We went to Australia, New Zealand. The thing is, when you travel as a team, you sort of stay together as a team. You sort of don't get to mix with the local people. You sort of go to hotels, you go to compete, and you go back to hotel, you go to the after party, and then you sort of go home. So you're not really mixing too much with local people. You are with the other athletes, but they're all athletes, so we're all kind of the same. We went to South Africa. That was a bit different because we went to Johannesburg, which can be a bit of a funny place to go. So we had police guard there all the time, just for safety's sake. One of the most interesting places I went to was East Germany when the wall was still up in 1985, Cottbus. So we had to go to be Checkpoint Charlie. And it was just like really fascinating because one side of the wall, it was just like lovely cars, houses, and literally as soon as you went through, it's like houses with bullet holes, trabants, no nice cars. It was just completely different. And it's something that I'm really glad I saw before the wall came down, because there's vast difference between there and there. Same in Atlanta with the Olympics, where the village was, it was all really nice, but just go outside the village and there's lots of really poor housing, and it's really shocking. Couldn't believe it how the local people lived. And I think the legacy of Atlantis is very sad, because I think it just tore the whole thing down after the games. There was nothing left for the people who lived there, and I think that's quite sad. I'm hoping when I do Commonwealth Games here in Birmingham, they're gonna have something for the local people, some kind of legacy. Yeah.
So what do you, on legacy, what do you think is would be a great legacy that we need to preserve from athletes' experiences? I mean, you talked about that at the very beginning, you know, the importance of preserving, passing on stories, experiences. So yeah, anything to add, do you think, about the importance of the legacy of what's taken place?
Yeah, I just feel that with a lot of athletes, they're just sort of, once you finish, you're just forgotten about, and like, we've done great things, you know. I mean, myself, I'm in the all-time list, honours in the all-time list, you know, but unless you're an athlete, you wouldn't know about it. And I just don't think they don't tap into us enough to give back. I think a lot of us are willing to give back, willing to help, but there's no pathway. If they had some kind of, even sort of some way you could put yourself on the internet in a sort of hub and say, I'm here, I can do this, I can help there, I can advise this way. I just don't know why we're not used in that way. I just don't understand it. And I think when the Commonwealth Games happens here, like for instance, the Commonwealth Games happen on my doorstep, nobody's asked me if I wanted to do anything to help. You know, I've got a wealth of experience. I could be helping, advising, even if it's just to sort of go to the track and sort of speak to athletes and stuff. But nobody's asking. I'm going to have to put myself out there and say, look, I'm here. But I don't even think if I did that, they would sort of take it up. I just think it's a shame that we're sort of forgotten about once we've finished doing representing the country. And it'd be nice if someone could do something to bring us back in.
Absolutely. So I think we've got some fantastic pictures of you in action, George. So if you could just talk us through some of those.
Okay. This is me jumping, looks like the British Championships. Yeah, I used to compete Hounslow because that's the kit there. And that shows a great example of leg shoot. Okay, this is me and my sister. Obviously, looks like I was on top on that one. Jump page between the winds, war and nerves. The press used to take quite a lot of interest in my sister because we did the same events and we were both quite good. So there was a lot of the press sort of rocking the boat with me and my sister. Yeah. Oh my God, the hair. Oh my God. Well, this is obviously an international meeting, so I've got the Great British kit on. I'm not sure which competition it's in, but it's just a really good action shot. Obviously before 1984.
Sorry, how old were you there, George?
I was probably about 14.
Wow.
Yeah. These are all county medals that I've won from the Kent Championships. Looks like some national championships there. Okay, this is the 60 metres indoors, the one on the left. That's Jackie Harmon, another athlete of mine. That must have been 1985. So probably that's 16, 17. The middle one, it looks like the national championships, 100 metres. And the end one again, that's another 60 metre race as well. Oh, now some of these medals that I've won in international meetings, and the big one in the middle is from the European Championships in Austria. There's a few from France, Belgium, I can see Australia. So yeah, they're just a few of the medals that I've won. This is the English schools. I actually won the English schools 4 times. I'm a 4-time English school champion, which was quite, I don't know how many people have won it that many times. This is the 4x1 relay. And the lady in the picture there, she coaches now some quite good athletes, sprinters. Yeah. Okay, these are all the 3A championships or national championships, British Trials, which I've won 6 times, come second 3 times and third once. So yeah, I'm 6-time British champion. This is a gift to me. These are the commemorative medals from the Beijing Olympics, which I didn't go to, but someone got them for me, and they're really lovely. They're made up. They've got gold, so there's actually real gold on there, and I think they're probably becoming quite rare now. So that's something I'm going to pass on to my children. That's me and my sister at our local track in Ladywell. That was when it was still a dirt track. We used to sort of train together. Happy days. As you can see, we're both smiling there. This is the moment when I had my horrific injury at Crystal Palace in the trials. And that's my sister there, giving me comfort. So that was the actual moment that my long jump career came to an end. This is a picture from the window of the Olympic Village in Atlanta. This was a Great Britain village. Every team had their own sort of little village. You can see you've got a little phone box there. They sort of put things that belong to your country outside each village. So this is just a small part of it. It was absolutely vast. I can't tell you how big this village was. This is just a tiny part of it. This is something that I've got lots of athletes to sign. So it's like a sort of memory board for me, different athletes that have been at the Olympics. Obviously it's quite hard to make out the signatures, but there's quite a few on there of athletes from all sports that competed in the Olympics. Okay, this is when you go to the village, you're given like a badge which you have to have on you at all times. That's my one there. That's a commemorative medal, which every athlete who competes at Olympic gets, and also commemorative pins that show you've been to Olympic Games as well. And that's the actual commemorative medal from Atlanta, which I'm really proud to own. Bit of fun we try and collect as many pins as we can from different countries. I didn't do too well. I've got a few on there. I've got some, but it's just something nice to keep. And that's the actual Olympic tracksuit with the lion's head that we're all given to compete in. That's one of my most treasured possessions. Brings back lots of good memories. Thank you.
Wow. Sorry, no, thank you so much. Really great things to look at, very inspiring. And you know, you can see how when you were training way back, the basic things that you had to work with, and you know, it's really obvious that it wasn't sort of a glamorized sport at all, and it was just something that you had to be passionate about and work really hard on. Definitely. So if we could bring back the other people that have been listening in and asking incredible questions, if we could bring everybody back onto the screen again. Brilliant. So any last questions for George? Anybody who wants a bit of sporting advice or any other life advice? What kind of things, George, would you say to these young people? And
I'd say, you know, whatever sport you like, try lots of different sports because you'll find your level. It's all about enjoyment. Just enjoy what you're doing. Don't put any pressure on yourself and just have fun.
What kind of sports do you like to do?
Football and cricket.
Oh, and you like to do cricket as well? What advice would you ask from George about cricket?
How can I keep myself motivated?
How can you get yourself motivated? Well, do you enjoy cricket? Do you enjoy it? Yeah?
Yeah.
You like cricket? Well, you know, what you have to do is just get yourself out there with your friends, do lots of practice, you know, but most of all, you've got to enjoy what you're doing. So have fun, don't put any pressure on yourself, you know, just enjoy what you're doing, Adam. Okay?
Okay.
Anybody else? Anything? Oh, Jaden, go for it.
What do you think was a habit that like separated you from the rest, like a daily habit that you did?
Okay. I have to say that being a top athlete can be quite lonely because you have to be really disciplined. So whereas lots of my friends were going out partying, I was staying in, and they found it very boring. But I knew in my mind I had to do that if I wanted to get where I wanted to get to. So you have to be sort of really mentally tough and don't let people pressure you into do things that they want you to do. You have to make sure you know what you want to do and just be true to yourself. Don't let anyone else try and tell you what to do.
Anybody else? What's the most inspiring thing you're going to take away? Go for it, Taslim.
Oh, I was just going to ask a question. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it was just, so basically you said, after your injury, you had physiotherapy. And I was just wondering what kind of things did you have involved? Like, did you have like sports massages or, what kind of therapy?
At that time, there wasn't a lot of that around. It was like I went to hospital. I had 20 minutes with the hospital physio, I think once every couple of weeks. So in the end, I had to pay for private physiotherapy. And most of it, the first part of it was trying to first of all get the swelling down because my knee was the size of football after surgery, and then it was trying to get mobility back. A lot of it I had to do myself because I couldn't really afford to keep going to physios. So there's a lot of like stretching with bands, sitting on the end of a table and trying to move my legs backwards and forwards. So, there wasn't much massage at all, so I really couldn't afford it. All my rehab was really done by myself at home.
Pia, you want to ask something or say something?
Well, now that we're all in lockdown, I think a lot of us are struggling to maintain our physical condition. What's your secret? Do you do any exercise right now?
I do a 20k bike ride every day.
Wow.
I do 1,000 skips every day, and every Sunday I do a workout for my whole street. I go out, we all come out, and I hold like an aerobic circuit session for my whole street. So
that's
amazing. How long does 1,000 skips take you?
Not very long, 15 minutes maybe. Yeah,
I think that would take me 1,000 minutes.
I've always
1,000 seconds. Oh, Gilbert, do you want to unmute yourself, Gilbert?
Hi, Gilbert.
Did you have a question?
Did you win any trophies?
I did. I won quite a lot of trophies. I won some from netball. I was very good at netball. I've won some for basketball, and I've won quite a lot for athletics. Yeah. Have you won any trophies?
No.
Oh, I'm sure you will in the future.
So I think we're going to round it up there and just give a huge thanks to George for joining us today. We're very honoured. Your story has been absolutely incredible, and I think we'll all take it away with us. And obviously this is going to be a resource, an educational resource on our website for Passing the Flame. So it's not just for these lovely people who've joined us today, but it will be shared with many more internationally. So thank you very much for that. I think Pia's got her hand up. Oh, is it a clap or a goodbye?
Yeah, just a clap. Thank you so much.
Big clap. Well done.
Really amazing.
So we're going to say goodbye, but thank you so much, George, and we'll look out for you as an inspirational mentor. I'm sure we're going to be inundated for requests now. So thank you very much. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for coming.